Hey, welcome back for another episode of the SEC Sports Guys. I'm your host, Hunter Ames, here with the coach, Brandon Carden and Jason Lee. This week, we're going to look at the rivalries within the SEC, starting first with Tennessee and Kentucky. Tennessee travels to Kentucky this year. Tennessee has owned the series here lately, 25 straight wins there. They have the series lead at 73, 23, and 9. Key components in this game, Kentucky is definitely going to be Randall Cobb. We've talked about him quite a bit this year. Mike Hartline, they're going to have to put something together in order to win this game and knock that streak. And on the other side, Tyler Bray, the quarterback for Tennessee, he's going to have to really have another one of those stellar performances like he's had in the past weeks. And I think Coach Derek Dooley, this is important for him to keep this streak alive going into this first actual game as him as a head coach. What do you got for that?
Well, I look at it like this. In the last 5 of the 10 games, the game's been decided by 9 or less points. And I think the past 25 years, Kentucky's just not had a team. You know, this year Kentucky's got a team. They got the quarterback, they got the running back, they got the wide receiver, they got all the skill players they need, and they got a decent defense. And, you know, we're talking about a Tennessee team here who really can't figure out what they want to do until last week. They finally figured out what they were going to do with the football. My prediction is Kentucky 24, Tennessee 21.
I'm going to go along those same lines. I think this is going to be a football game that doesn't have a lot of defense in it. I think you're going to see two offenses that are going up and down the field. When it gets down to the end, I think Kentucky's got too many weapons. I'm going to go Kentucky as well, 31-21 over Tennessee.
I'm disagreeing with you guys. I'm going Tennessee 28-21. I know that's a bold prediction, but I believe Tyler Bray keeps that streak alive. Derek Dooley gets his first win in this series in 26 in a row. Let's move over to the Battle of the Golden Egg, or we like to call it more the Egg Bowl. Mississippi State versus Ole Miss. It's a 7 o'clock game on ESPNU. Ole Miss leads the series 53-23 and 6. And the egg, I found this very interesting. It's not actually an egg they're talking about. They were referring to the football back in those days when they made the trophy. And it's actually a brass. The trophy is a brass football that sits up on a wood base and symbolizes, of course, some supremacy in the state of Mississippi. I also found this is pretty neat. The two teams have played each other since 1901. It's a long time of playing each other in football. And in 1927 was the first year that they awarded the trophy. Key players that I find in this game, Mississippi State is definitely that quarterback, Chris Relf. He's a great quarterback. He just needs those receivers to catch those balls when he does throw it to him. And, of course, Chris White, we've talked about him quite a few times. He's won the Defensive Player of the Week many times, so he really needs to step up and have a good game. Ole Miss, on that side of the ball, Brandon Bolden, he's had 6 games with over 100 yards rushing. He's going to need another one of those in this matchup. And then quarterback Jeremy Soley, he's had good games and he's had really bad games. He needs a really good one in this one for Ole Miss to get that win. What do you have for us?
Well, I think you got to look at both of these offenses. They're almost a little similar. They want to run the little option play with the quarterback, both styles. Both offenses run the little option quarterback play. Now, whether it comes to it, is Mazzoli going to finally have a breakout game? That's what it comes down to. This kid, you know, we've heard all the talk about him, how good he was last year, but, you know, this year I haven't seen the breakout game. If he has the breakout game like he's supposed to, I think Ole Miss rolls with this. And I got actually Mississippi State upsetting him because I don't think Mazzoli's going to have the good game like I talked about. But Mississippi State 21, Ole Miss 17.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think one of the big points is Mazzoli has to have a good game against that Mississippi State defensive front. They've been tough all year. Now, with Mississippi State, I think their key is their offense. They have been rolling the last 4 weeks. Then they went into Tuscaloosa this past Saturday and got shut down. Chris Relf has got to have a better game. They're ranked 102nd nationally, 102 nationally in passing. So he's definitely got to step it up there. And you're right, Ames, what you said. A lot of that is the receivers. They have a ton of drop balls. In the end, I agree with Carden. I think Mississippi State's defense is going to be too strong. I think they do put enough points on the board to get by Ole Miss. I've got State 21-13.
Good pick. We have the exact same, 21-17. Mississippi State Bulldogs take care of this one. Next up, we're going to take a look at the battle for the Golden Boot. LSU, Arkansas. Man, I've been looking forward to this game all year. I think this is going to be a great one. This is the primetime game, 3:30 on CBS. Now, this rivalry is not near as long as some of these other ones. It began back in '96. LSU currently leads the series at 9-5. And I found this interesting. The trophy is actually molded out of 24-karat gold. I would love to get that trophy. It's valued at $10,000. That's a pretty nice one. Keys to this one, though, LSU, we've talked about them quite a bit. Jordan Jefferson. I hope that Les Miles lets Jordan Jefferson stay on the field for most of the game, because I think if he does stay on the field, that LSU could come away with a victory. Also, their defensive tackle, Drake Nevis, he's been stellar on that defensive line. and he needs to have a great game in order for LSU. And on the Arkansas side of it, quarterback Ryan Mallett, he's going to have a really good game. He's had some good ones. He needs to put one more in there. And then Niall Davis, we've talked about him quite a few times. He's going to have a big game as well. What do you have for us?
Well, what I'm looking at here in this game is can Mallett perform? All right, Mallett's got the quarterback arm. He's got the pro arm. They've already projected him to be the #1 quarterback going in the draft. He's got the arm. We got the running back. But here's the problem. Like I've said for weeks that we've been talking about this, if Les Miles figures out, am I going to go with one quarterback or am I going to go with two, that's going to determine the game. Because if Jefferson stays in the game, it's more of a threat for Arkansas's defense. You saw that against Auburn with Cam Newton. That running quarterback is a little hard for them to defend. Mm-hmm. But in the end, I think it's going to be too much Arkansas. I think Les Miles and his bunch is just going to get out-coached and outplayed behind the arm of Ryan Mallett. And I got Arkansas 35, LSU 27.
Good point. This is a huge game for LSU. They've got a lot to play for. They're out of the West. Auburn's going to be playing in Atlanta for the SEC championship, but they can still get an at-large BCS bowl. They're ranked number 5 right now. Oregon or Auburn get knocked off. Who knows if they jump TCU and Boise? So this is a huge game for LSU to come out and make a statement. However, this game is in Arkansas, so that kind of gets me thinking another way. I think that high-power offense with Ryan Mallett, he's got 9 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. I think the offense is going to be a little too much for LSU's defense. I've got Arkansas 37-28 over LSU.
Really good. I picked Arkansas as well, 31-27, and the reason I did pick them because it is in Little Rock. I think they come away with the victory there. Next up, the Iron Bowl, Auburn versus Alabama. Auburn coming into town undefeated. Alabama hoping to knock that off. They sit with 2 losses and 2 very good games that they could have won. This is a Friday night game on Friday afternoon game, 2:30 on CBS. We were talking earlier. I didn't know this, but the Iron Bowl actually got its name because it started in Birmingham. I knew it started in Birmingham, but Birmingham's so rich in iron ore, and so hence the name Iron Bowl. Alabama currently leads the series 40-33-1, but in Tuscaloosa, Auburn is 6-1. So maybe that favors them, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Key players for Auburn. Of course, Cam Newton. The Tigers have jumped on his back this season and rode him, and I think that many of those wins were because of Cam Newton. And then Auburn's defensive line. They're really going to have to step up, put pressure on the quarterback. They're going to have to stop Ingram and Richardson if he's back healthy. And on the Alabama side of it, Mark Ingram's going to have a good game. Last year didn't have such a great game in the Iron Bowl. He's going to really need to step up and be a leader. And then Julio Jones, he's going to have to make the catches when he needs them. What do you got?
I think the game's going to come down to the score. If you look at the score, if we get a game into the 30s, I think you got to favor Auburn with that high-power offense. If we can keep it in the 20s, under 20s, I think you got to go with Alabama there. That tells you that Alabama's defense stopped Cam Newton or contained him at least, and that offense. With Alabama's offense, they've got to get things going. They can't get the mentality of we've got to keep up with Auburn's offense. They've got to have the mentality that our defense has got to give us a chance to get on the field, get as many yards as possible. Now, Julio Jones, everybody knows about Julio Jones, McElroy. I think a receiver to keep in mind is Marquise Mays. He's their go-to receiver when defenses are double-teaming Julio Jones. So he's got to step up. If he's got 6 or 7 catches, that tells you they've been going down the field. In the end, nobody has proven all year that they can stop Auburn's offense. So in the end, I think Auburn's offense is gonna take advantage there, especially late in the second half as they did against Georgia. Today, I'll have to go Auburn 34-27. But again, if it's a low-scoring game, you would have to go with Alabama.
Well, what I'm gonna look at is this: is Auburn's had a week off, and the only thing that scares me about Auburn having a week off is Malzahn sitting around going, what can we throw in? What can we throw in? And I think he sometimes overthinks himself, and he's going to try a little bit of the trick plays. The key for Alabama's on defense is, can we stop Cam Newton? Nobody's done it yet. I think if they can stop Cam Newton, and on the other side of the ball, if Alabama can establish, a run, they will do it. They've got away from running the football, and if they can establish that run, it's going to be a good game. But I think when it comes down to it, it's just too much of Auburn. Now, if we're sitting here and you hear, linebackers for Auburn making all the tackles, safeties for making tackles for Auburn, it's going to be a long game for Auburn. I think like Jay said, it's going to be a very good game. But when it comes down to it, I think it's going to be a very, very tight-knit game. I don't think we get into the 30s. I think it's going to be 24-17 Auburn.
Well, okay. I'm going into the 30s. I've got Auburn 38-28. but I think that touchdown is going to be scored later into the second half. Anyways, that was the show. Again, I'm Hunter Ames, Brandon Carden, Jason Lee. We'll see you guys next time.